This picture was taken in 1964. It's the earliest picture I have of our first band, called The Shades. And you can tell that because we're wearing them, which was a three-piece band. How we started. John Angelo, so as he started out on guitar, singing, and next to him, me singing and playing guitar, and hidden is our drummer, Tony Backus. This picture was taken January 10th, 1965, the earliest version of the Heartbeats. I have to make a little correction to this because John Angelos is on the left in his basement here in Dearborn Heights playing guitar as he started out on. Bruce King, his cousin, playing guitar, myself on guitar right next to him, and Tony Backus playing drums. A version that went out to play was John Angelos, myself, Brian Siciliano, if that's how you say his name, playing rhythm guitar, Bill Kochansky playing harmonica and maracas, and Keith Johnstone playing drums. This is a version that became the Heartbeats, 1965. On the left you have Dave Cronick playing guitar briefly, myself playing guitar in the middle, John Angelos playing bass. A lot of people didn't know he played bass, but he played in two bands, that and Pink Peach Mob. Hidden behind him was Keith Johnstone playing drums. On the right to him was who was known then with his true name, Dennis Cronick, who became Dennis Lauren. So this was the Heartbeats in 1965. This picture was taken in 1966 at John Angelos' high school graduation party in his backyard. Pictured here is John Angelos singing and playing harmonica, Tony Backus playing drums, behind him Randy Smith playing bass, and myself on the right playing guitar. This was the early version of the Black and Blues Band. This information is correct, save one thing about our record that we made. The date says 1967, and it should say 1966. The previous picture will explain a little about it, but the band card below it has the actual members that played on this record. This is a Belshires from 1967. I'll start from the back row so you can tell where everybody is. My old friend Dave Ribble played guitar in the band. We're still friends today. Next to him, Kevin Smith, the drummer. Next to him in the back, me, Marc Falconberry. And then we go to the front row. Well, I guess, okay, I'll do it that way. The front row are the Furby brothers, Al and Jerry. They both sang. Jerry played a little harmonica and tambourine and kind of added to the general mayhem. It was more or less a band from Wayne called the Belshires. I think this picture was taken just before we played at the Grandy. The last guy on the right was Don Wolfman Gates, who was the bass player. This is 1968, Pink Peach Mob, Upper DeRoy Auditorium with the MC5. Lenny Sinclair took this picture, but I'm not in it. John Angelos is in the front. If you can barely see him, there's drums, and I'm out of the picture to the right side. This is an early promo shot taken in 1969 of our band Dutch Elm. I believe it was taken over by the Detroit River on the foot of Southfield Boulevard. On the left would be myself, Marc Falconberry. Next to me, Michael Jones, who played bass. Rockin' Reggie, who sang and played guitar. And Tom Dolan on the far right, drummer. This picture was taken in 1969 as our promo picture for the band Dutch Elm in Belle Isle, or at Belle Isle, Detroit, Michigan. On top, Tom Dolan, drummer. Below him, Michael Jones, bass. Below him, myself, Marc Falconberry. And below him, Rockin' Reggie Vincent. And the picture is by Detroit Annie. All right, this picture is from 1969. This is Richmond after Dutch Elm. Filling in with us temporarily playing is Don Parrish on the left, playing guitar. Michael Jones playing bass. Tom Dolman playing drums. Myself playing guitar. It was taken at the local 5 Musicians Union, Detroit, Michigan. This photo was taken by Rick Siegel, so it says, from Cream Magazine. I don't know if it was printed in there, but the copy I got from their files was from this 1970 show. at the Easttown Ballroom, which we opened for Rod Stewart and the Faces and Savoy Brown for 2 nights. This is a band Mighty Quick. The information about the gig said it was Richmond. It was not. It's it morphed into Mighty Quick, and this is what the Mighty Quick. So this is just a picture of me playing at that gig. Worth mentioning here is Colin Kendall. Colleen, my friend, managed Dutch Elm early. We changed the name to Richmond, and then Mighty Quick was added with 2 new members, John Angelos and Roy Fernandez, and Rocket Reggie was gone. But these bands were managed first by Colleen Kendall and then later by a radio personality, Dan Carlisle. This picture was taken in 1971 by the now famous photographer Charles Oringer. It was me on the top, myself, playing guitar and singing. On the bottom left was Bill White, who played bass and vocals. And on the right, Keith Johnstone playing drums and vocals. The name was controversial, so I'm going to say it on the end. If anybody is offended by it, they can mute it out or something. But anyway, at the time, we ran it by our wives and girlfriends and such. And there was no objection to it, but I'll say the name. The name of the band was Magic Rape. I thought worth mentioning would be the Blackstone band that we had. I guess you could kind of think Delaney and Bonnie or something. It was like that sort of a band. On the left, we have Greg Denning playing bass. Next to him, Millie Johnson, who we called Cookie, who was basically our singer. For a lot of it. Her and I split things, I guess, that way. Keith Johnstone, drummer, and myself on the end. We played mostly a lot of, rock-type bars and things that wanted those kind of songs that I mentioned earlier from that kind of a artist, and it was kind of in demand at the time, so we made the best of it and tried to make a little money, and, all of us stayed friends after. This shot was taken in 1972 of Flack. It was our promo picture with a lot of plants that are illegal now. On the left side is Greg Denning, who was a bass player, Keith Johnstone, the drummer, and myself in the middle. Managing us in the Flack band, I thought I should mention Tom Marchuk, who went by the name JRZ, and he was the one that actually managed us, and I thought it should be noted here. This was 1972 at the Steve Miller Show at Ford Auditorium with me playing, which you can really see a little of my face because of the hair. To the left of me was Keith Johnstone playing drums. Out of the picture was Greg Denning playing bass, and that was our band, Trio Flack. This is 1973 at Studio Instrument Rentals Studios, rehearsal studios in Hollywood, California. Just a picture of me rehearsing. This is another action shot from Rodney Bingenheimer's on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, California, 1974. Flack was the band. On the left was face away from the camera playing bass, Greg Denning. In the back, Keith Johnstone playing drums. Me, Marc Falconberry in the front playing guitar. This is 1974 in Hollywood, California, at Rodney Bingenheimer's famous place on Sunset Strip. It's Greg Denning on the left playing bass, Keith Johnstone in the middle playing drums, myself playing guitar and singing. The band was called Flack. This was my last rock band, 1977. A very good picture, but the band was called Crack, K-R-A-A-K. We played on the road mostly, doing covers and such. This was taken, I believe, in London, Ontario, Canada. On the left would be Rick Rins playing bass. In the middle, playing drums, Rick Miller. Myself on the right. And the very far, that you can barely see, would be Larry Goodman playing guitar. This is when I switched over to Total Blues in 1980. This is the West Side Blues Band, which we started, and I'll give you the members and what they did from left to right. Very left is Rick Rins playing bass and did some vocals. Bruce Bradbury playing guitar, also some vocals. Frank DeLuca playing drums, and myself, Marc Falconberry, lead vocals and lead guitar at Hart Plaza just after it was built for the Detroit Blues Festival. This is a typical bar shot. I believe it was taken at the Union Street in Grosse Pointe in 1980 of us, the West Side Blues Band. Doesn't have a complete band in it, but on the left was Bruce Bradbury, who helped me start the thing, and myself playing guitar and singing in the middle. This is in my basement at my house in Ellen Park when I got married for the second time. We had a jam at the end of the night, of course, and that's me on the left, Marc Falconberry playing guitar, Bob Slapp in the middle, John Angelos, this was one of the last times I played with him, singing, Rick Rins playing bass, and Rick Miller is the drummer with a face behind it. The interesting note about this is most of this was the West Side Blues Band around 1979 and 80, but with a few different members, but I thought I should include it because of the people involved. This is my promo shot from Blues Factory Records and Booking Agency, which was located in Royal Oak, for the blues bookings that they were doing, which you can see on the picture. It was taken approximately 1990. This little cartoon was kind of neat, so I thought I should include it as the last thing between the 80s and 90s, since it was 1990s, what I got written down. There was a Timothy's bar in Flint where we were playing, and this guy was sitting at a bar doodling this, and then he just gave it to me and left. This was taken in late 90s, I would say around, well, really, I don't know. Maybe you could say early 90s, let's say that, because I'm not sure of the date. Waylon Dale is playing with us this night on the left, harmonica, myself playing guitar, Marc Falconberry on the right, and I believe this was taken at the Riverside Bar in Mount Clemens. I wanted to include this because it's not a great picture, but it does show James Coy and I playing together. I believe that's Bob Lee on the drums behind us. We were the Yazoo City Players for 6 or 7 years at Cisco's on every Thursday. As an extra sort of bonus, I decided to include this picture from the same gig as the previous picture, but it does show a little bit different angle and a little bit closer up of myself and Bob Lee playing drums in the middle, and James Coy Jr. on the bass and vocals at Cisco's Yazoo City Players. I think a lot of people in Detroit or that area of Michigan on the east side will recognize this as being the Blue Goose Inn. The band at this time, Phil Risky playing keyboards and harmonica on the left, Bob Lee peeking out behind the drums on the center, me playing guitar and singing in the center, standing, and Wesley Smith playing bass. This is an interesting shot, I think, from Michigan Taste Fest in the New Center area of Detroit in 1997. My solo band, of course, Marc Falconberry Blues Band. And in this picture is myself on the left with a hat. And in the middle will be a man familiarly known to Detroit audiences, Bobby East, a good old friend of mine, which I'd like to be proud of saying, and Wesley Smith playing bass on the right. This is my blues band around 1998. I believe this picture was taken at Jimmy G's, which was in Fenton, Michigan, with myself on the left playing guitar, Bob Lee in the back playing drums, the late Clay St. James playing harmonica, and Wesley Smith on the right playing bass. This was taken December 3rd, 2000, at Fortune Records in Detroit, the old Fortune Records building, and I think it's a unique shot that came from, Big City Blues magazine, which is pretty cool because the only known picture I know, they have 50 blues guys in it. And I'm at the very back, Marc Falconberry, but all the names are listed on the bottom of the picture. This is June 30th, 2000. Marc Falconberry doing the solo part of the show at the Eat to the Beat lunch hour in Southfield, Michigan. This was taken at the R&R Cafe in Wyandotte around 2001. Myself playing guitar on the left, Frank Shavui playing drums in the back, Phil Risky on harmonicas, and Wesley Smith on bass. This is me playing at a solo gig, which I also play with the band in Florida at my friend Frog, the late Frog's parties, which were legendary, paid for blues parties. So here I am playing slide at the beginning of the day. And usually had those shows, the second week of March. 2003, we're playing at the Ann Arbor Art Fair. WMU sponsored it, as you can see in the picture in the rear. The left, Phil Risky playing keyboards. The drums in the back, Bob Lee. Myself in the middle, Marc Falconberry, and on the right, Wesley Smith playing bass. This is taken in the mid-2000s with my late great friend, Mighty I, who was Ira Shapiro playing guitar on the left, myself playing guitar on the right, and Al Toll playing drums. This was taken at the Detroit Yacht Club on Belle Isle. This one is from the Fort Street Brewery, I should say, in the mid-2000s. Just a regular night at this place. Fort Street Brewery was in Lincoln Park. Suela Dale on the left playing harmonica, hidden behind him, John Johnson playing drums, I believe. Myself, Marc Falconberry playing guitar, singing, and on the far right, Wesley Smith playing bass. This picture was taken at Fort Street Brewery, mid-2000s. I included it because it's a solo picture of me playing, which I don't have as many of course. This is Fishbones around 2006, downtown Detroit, Greektown, really. Myself sitting down and playing with the band, which is a little unusual. Usually I do this solo, but this I decided to do some old-time blues, like the old guys did it, I guess. So you have myself playing guitar and singing on the left, Joe LeBeau in the middle playing saxophones, John Johnson on drums in the rear, and Wesley Smith on the right playing bass. This picture was taken by Becky Lowe. I believe it's Joe LeBeau's niece, Lough. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Becky Lowe. It was going to be used as part of a collection with the CD that came out, which plans beyond my control changed all that. But I thought it was a good picture of him and I with our instruments sitting there in Ann Arbor. This is kind of a typical shot from Arts, Beats, and Eats, which we played for a lot of years, 22 years in a row, as a matter of fact. So this is a slide guitar shot playing with the band. This was taken at the Michigan Rib Fest in Lake Orion in July, early July 2022. More of a rare shot, me playing with an acoustic guitar by myself.
similar to him might happen to you. My job's so hard, about to break my back, but I see my boss are leaving this brand new Cadillac. Ooh, baby, don't you cry for me no more, 'cause I'm going back down to the bottom, so everyone leave me alone.
This record was recorded around 1973. I'm including it even though it's not my record. My band plays on it, which was Keith Johnstone, Greg Denning playing bass, Keith Johnstone playing drums, and myself playing guitar and a little bit of vocals, because that was my band Flack backing up my friend Dennis Lauren, who always wanted to have a record called The Vampire. So he wrote Don't You Touch Rock and Roll, and I basically wrote the music. And he wrote the lyrics, and we put this together with a B-side of one of my old rock songs on the B-side. So I thought we should include this. I know this picture was previously shown, but we also used it for our first cover of our recording, which was on cassette tapes. So you can see how old that was, but we're talking about, 1993 or 4 for this. Basically recorded live at the Red Doggy Saloon in Milford, but the picture was actually from Chevy G's in Fenton, but that's just what we cobbled together for the cassette release. The back cover of the CD previously shown with Marc Falconberry Blues Band live at the Red Doggy Saloon in Milford, just to show the song list of what we did live. This is my first released CD, finally, under my own name, as usual. Marc Falconberry Blues Band, the same blues band live. It was the same blues band that is on here, which is myself playing the guitars and singing and writing the songs. Phil Risky playing keyboard and harmonicas, Wesley Smith playing bass, and Bob Lee playing drums. It was released in 1998. This is a record CD by my old friend James Coy Jr. He asked me to write him a song that didn't include women, and he didn't have anything like that. So I said, remember when we went to Chicago and you kind of horned me into that place with, that sold suits? And I said, I wrote a song about the suit. So he said, brand new suit, great. Put the lyrics under the door of Cisco's where he was playing, which is the weirdest way I ever heard of to write a song for somebody. But I did it. The waitress gave him the song, and then he came up with the arrangement of it. I rewrote it later to put it on my own CD, but this is his version of it, which I thought should be included. I'm including this because it's a compilation album with different blues artists. My one song, Back Down the Bottle, which has been previously recorded on Irreverent Blues, is on here. But it was interesting that it's blues all over the eastern side of Michigan, and Mike Boland, who has this no-cover record company, was the one that put this together. This is a live album because they wanted to have something live on an actual CD. So we used the 2 live sets and combined them into one CD from the Ann Arbor Art Fair 2001, 2002 as a combination. And so this is just called Blues All Live. And players on this are myself playing guitar and singing, Phil Risky playing keyboards, harmonica, Bob Lee playing drums, and Wesley Smith on bass. This was released in the early 2000s. I've since pulled it because I've been able to record a lot of the same stuff on a later studio CD, but 10 Times the Blues with the assist of Doug Smith, my brother-in-law, ex to be, was, and the lineup was basically John Johnson, Mark Smith occasionally on drums. Both guys played drums on it, and Wesley Smith playing bass, Joe Bow, saxophones, and myself playing guitar and singing most of the original songs. This one is unusual because the lunch break band with the mushroom was only because it was done at my friend's employee party, and they had portobello mushrooms so many times that people got sick of them. So he said, "Well, we'll make that the cover." And besides that, Keith Johnstone was the guy, and this was recorded at Artesian, which is part of, Technicolor Enterprises where he worked. So the players on this live were Bill White, my old friend from the Boy Dukes days and from my Magic band, and Keith Johnstone playing drums, Bill White played bass, and Jim Barrett played a synthesizer guitar, which was interesting in blues, and he was also a manager there. So this was a live recording we made mainly to help an employee that got run down by a high-low there, and so we made the CD, and it was manufactured and sold at Technicolor to pay for his hospital expenses. And then, of course, we got the CD as a memory. In the mid-2000s or so, Anton James, the singer who I was living in the house with at the time, decided he wanted to do a Christmas CD of 2 songs. So I played guitar solo on the first song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. On the back, Santa's Messing with the Kid, which is a blues song that not many people have heard, I don't think, which was my performance on the B-side. So I thought I should include that. What this is live at WHFR radio station at Henry Ford Community College in Dearborn, Michigan. The date is on here, May 25th, 2006. What's different about this is it was released only for radio airplay by the people, Roger and Peggy White, who were friends of mine for a long time. And it's 8 songs, solo performance that I did live on the air that day. I'm including this because it was a production CD, 2011, of a compilation of everybody's performance that they wanted to record at Arts, Beats, and Eats in Royal Oak. And I have one song on here, so I thought I should include it, even a DVD that was commercially sold. And when I flip it over to the other side, you will see Off Deep and Wide, the song I did with my band, and my picture is on the lower left reversed, where I'm playing left-handed. This is the most latest release. That sounds like a blues guy, don't it? This is the most latest release of our band at the time, which was recorded approximately 5 years ago, so you're going back to, like into the later 2000s, maybe 2010 or something. I don't know when this came out, but brand new suit. So I wanted to record a bunch of songs that I hadn't recorded before, or they hadn't been recorded on those previous CDs that I showed you, where they're not recorded quite as good, or it's not a studio recording. So this is a studio recording, and so this is what you would call the latest release.